This is a reading from the sayings of Anandamayi Ma, a well-known Indian saint who was born in the late 1800s, I think 1897 or is it 1896, in Bangladesh. She was well known for being fully enlightened at a young age, I think in her teenage years. When I look at the photos of Anandamayi Ma on the internet, I feel quite absorbed by her sense of ease, the surrender in her eyes, the peace and the radiance that she exudes from her photographs. Anyway, I'm going to read chapter 2 and chapter 3 of the book. So starting with chapter 2 from September 1948. She had a visitor which asked her about the value of religious and philosophical discourses. And she replied, by listening repeatedly to discussions and discourses on topics of this kind, the path to first-hand knowledge of what has been heard gradually opens out. You know, it is when water, uninterruptedly dripping on a stone, finally makes a hole in it, and then a flood may suddenly surge through, which will bring enlightenment. Be it the perusal of sacred texts, listening to religious discourses, engaging in kirtan. I think in Hinduism, kirtan is the devotional singing and repetition of God's name. So engaging in kirtan, God must be the Alpha and Omega of whatever is done. When reading, read about Him. When talking, talk of Him. And when singing, sing His praises. These three practices are intrinsically the same, but because people respond differently, the same is expressed in three different ways to suit each person's temperament and capacity for assimilation. Essentially, there is only He and He alone, although everyone has his own individual path that leads to Him. What is the right path for each depends on his personal predilection, based on the specific character of his inner qualifications. Take, for instance, the study of Vedanta. Some seekers become completely drowned in it, just as others may so lose themselves in kirtan as to fall into a trance. A student of Vedanta may become fully absorbed in his texts, even more so than the one who gets carried away by kirtan. According to one's specific line of approach, one will be able to achieve full concentration through the study of a particular scripture or by some other means. First comes listening, then reflection, and last of all, the translation into action of what has been heard and pondered over. This is why one has first of all to listen, so that on each may he be able to select Vedanta or kirtan or whatever else be in his own line of practice. Have you never come across people making light of kirtan, saying, "What is there to be gained by it?" Nevertheless, after listening to it for some time, they actually develop a liking for it. Therefore, one must listen before one can reflect. And then later, what has been heard and reflected upon will take shape in action suited to the person concerned. To listen to the discourses of God or truth is certainly beneficial, provided one does not allow oneself to be moved by a spirit of fault-finding or disparagement, should there be differences of outlook to one's own. To find fault with others creates obstacles for everyone all around, for him who criticizes, for him who is blamed, as well as for those who listen to the criticism. Whereas, what is said in a spirit of appreciation is fruitful to everybody. For only where there is no question of regarding anything as inferior or blameworthy can one call it a satsang, a play upon words. Sat means true being, the good. Satsang, the company of the good, and also a religious gathering. Asal, which is the opposite of Sat, means non-being, wrong, evil. Therefore, to find fault in a religious meeting is a contradiction in terms. Who is known as a Vaishnava? One who sees Vishnu everywhere. And as a Sakta is one who beholds the Great Mother and nothing but her. In truth, all the various ways of thought spring from one common source. Who then is to be blamed? Who to be reviled or suppressed? All are equal in essence. Thou art mother, thou art father, thou art friend, and thou art master. Truly, thou art all in all. Every name is thy name, every quality thy quality, every form thy form indeed. Yet he is also where no forms exist. As pure unmanifested being, all depends on one's avenue of approach. Is it not said that what is viewed by the Sattvas as the supreme, which is Siva, and by those who inquire into the self as the one self, is none other than the Brahman himself? So in Hinduism, Brahman is the highest essence, or the source of all. In reality, there is no contradiction so long as the slightest difference is perceived. Even by a hair's breadth, how can one speak of the state of pure being? For this reason, no matter what path anyone may choose, it is that. Vedanta actually means the end of difference and non-difference. While engaging in sadhana, which is spiritual practices, one must concentrate in a single direction. But after it has been completed, what comes then? The cessation of difference, distinction, and disagreement. Differences do indeed exist on the path, but how can there be a difference of goal? So this is chapter 3, recorded on September 16, 1948. A member of a well-known Indian family who had distinguished herself by devoting her life to social service came for Sri Ma's darshana and asked, does the capacity to meditate come by practice in this life, or is it an aptitude acquired in former births? To this, Sri Ma or Anandamayi Ma replied, it may be the result of either of the two, or of both combined. Meditation should be practiced every day of one's life. Look, what is there in this world? Absolutely nothing that is lasting. Therefore, direct your longing towards the eternal. Pray that the work done through you, His instrument, may be pure. In every action, remember Him. The purer your thinking, the finer will be your work. In this world, you get a thing, and by tomorrow, it may be gone. This is why your life should be spent in a spirit of service. Feel that the Lord is accepting services from you in whatever you do. If you desire peace, you must cherish the thought of Him. So the questioner asked, when will there be peace on earth? And to this Sri Ma replied, well, you know what the present state of affairs is. Things are happening as they are destined to be. The questioner, when will this state of unrest come to an end? So this is when India was having a lot of chaos. And Sri Ma replied, the fact that many of you feel concerned about it and ask, when will it end, is also one of the ways of His self-manifestation. The world means ceaseless movement, and obviously there can be no rest in movement. How could there be peace in perpetual coming and going? Peace reigns where no coming exists and no going, no melting and no burning. Reverse your course, advance towards Him, then there will be a hope of peace. By your japa, I think this is the chanting of mantra, and meditation, those who are close to you will also benefit through the helpful influence of your presence. In order to develop a taste for meditation, you have to make a deliberate and sustained effort, just as children have to be made to sit and study, be it by persuasion or coercion. By taking medicine or having injections, a patient may get well. Even if you do not feel inclined to meditate, conquer your reluctance and make an attempt. The habit of countless lives is pulling you in the opposite direction and making it difficult for you. Persevere in spirit of it. By your tenacity, you will gain strength and be molded. That is to say, you will develop the capacity to do sadhana, which are spiritual exercises. Make up your mind that however arduous the task, it will have to be accomplished. Recognition and fame last for a short time only. They do not accompany you when you leave this world. If your thought does not naturally flow towards the eternal, fix it there by an effort of will. Some severe blow of fate will drive you towards God. This will be but an expression of His mercy. However painful, it is by such blows that one learns one's lesson. The obstinacy of the mind must be curbed with resoluteness. Whether the mind cooperates or not, you must be adamant in your determination to do a certain amount of practice without fail, simply because sadhana is man's real work. For so long you have been accustomed to perform actions that fetter, meaning imprison. Therefore, from sheer force of habit, you feel the urge to bind yourself by activity again and again. But if you try hard for some time, you will be able to see for yourself how you are caught in your work, and that the more you engage in sadhana, the quicker will be your advance. As to self-surrender, by constantly endeavoring to live a life of self-dedication, it will come about one day. What does self-surrender mean, if not to surrender to one's very own self? Keep in mind what this little daughter of yours is asking you to do.